10.15 has been out for a few weeks now, and that means that your next patch, 10.17, is only 6 weeks away, so you've probably done most of your content goals for this season. The new mega dungeons there, the time rifts are great, but the dungeon is once a week, and the time rifts don't exactly fill an entire play session, or scratch an itch for a proper weekend's gaming adventure. You might even be feeling directionless, so join me today and I'll solve that problem for you, and we can enjoy today's sponsor. Right, cutting through bullshit is my mission here, and nowadays it's more important than ever, and that's why Ground.News is our secret weapon to be more balanced and informed, rather than be manipulated. Ground helps you fight spin and bias for any story. They aggregate news from thousands and thousands of sources. You get a full breakdown of ownership and political bias of the outlets. And personally, I've been using Ground a lot to stay informed and actually research breaking news for my work. I mean, this time it's the FTC, the obvious stuff with Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. So here I can go onto the topic, I can see broad coverage across the spectrum, and looking actually a bit closer into the FTC topic, I also saw some other things they're up to. You know, Celsius coin, one of the things CoffeeZilla was going into? Yeah, that was a scam, and he's in big trouble. And being able to just click on a story and then see how everyone is covering it across the political spectrum, that is such a superpower. And obviously with fairly major events going on the European continent, I have found Ground an extremely important way to stay informed on everything with Ukraine. So Ground is faster, it's better at keeping you informed, and with their blind spot tool that analyzes what you read and surfaces stories from your political blind spots, I mean, it's perfect. It means you never don't know what's not to love. Ground helps me stay informed, fight the bias of headlines that spread virally over social media, and be more grounded in reality. Sign up for unlimited access through my link and get 30% off the Vantage subscription for as little as $5 a month. It's practically nothing, and they are a fantastic service. The Deaths of Chromie. This is straight up one of Blizzard's best bits of content in the game. Just about everybody playing it at the time knows it. So, you know the idea of a time loop story, where the characters are stuck in a situation, but they get progressively further with each loop, based on the things that they've learned. It's that, but in WoW. Something is killing Chromie, so you and her set out to stop it. You'll face down threats in each of the dragon shrines. You will head to different timelines, going to classic locations in the game's lore, all in a race against the clock, based on learning new info and solving puzzles. Genuinely one of the best bits of straight up just video game content that Blizzard has made. There's character progression with a little rep with her, but it's really based about you solving those puzzles and getting better with each loop. It has a massive sense of fun and sense of an achievement for figuring it out yourself. You get the Time Lord title and an ensemble as a reward for finishing it with a class of each armor type. Lore-wise, I mean, Chromie's a massive player in the story right now. Her story is far from over, so now truly is the time. And some more good news, it level scales actually really damn successfully, meaning it is a uncorrupted, pure, good experience. Right, these are good enough that I've actually been enjoying doing one of them recently. If there are any class order hauls from Legion that you haven't done, I highly recommend it. Highly. I've been doing the Paladin one right now on my new alt, and I mean, the vibes are immaculate. Legion just hit harder in atmosphere and the feeling of fantasy than WoW really has in years. And between unlocking the artifact appearances, which look sick, class mounts, which look fantastic, transmog sets, and just an enjoyable narrative experience in the game, these are still just some of the straight up best content Blizzard has ever put into WoW. And you'll need to have at least one of these done for another one of my suggestions later. Alright, you know the deal here. Loremaster is always one of those things you can do in your downtime with the right add-ons like immersion and a clean UI. Doing quests you haven't before can actually be a bunch of fun, especially when you've got a plan, like doing a bunch of Cataclysm quests to see what people mean when they say Dragonflight's maybe a bit of a Cataclysm too, or maybe doing Legion because, as I've established, it kind of owns. WoW's secret content is often fantastic, and none is better than that tied to the Lucid Nightmare. I mean, it's cool as far as horses go, yes, and it comes with a wholly unique thing, a dynamic maze. Complete the initial steps of this and you'll be brought to a turbo intense maze. It's one that will actually have you with a little pen and paper writing down your path as you learn its rules and you chart your way through its sheer madness. And funny enough, my guide in this is actually one of the largest videos this channel has ever had. Last I checked, it had like 650k views, which is insane. Yeah, this is great. It will tickle your brain for an afternoon. And if you're struggling, there is an add-on, the Lucid Nightmare Helper, but I recommend the pen and paper way. It's more authentic and real, and hey, I suffered that way, so why don't you as well? Beyond that though, there are other mounts in the secret finding community. The Riddler's Mindworm, the Hive Mind, and Kosumoth the Hungering. Kosumoth is actually the first major secret puzzle that WoW had. The Riddler is fairly simple, just requiring you to click on some items for a sort of mad, creepy looking worm dude. And then there's Una. The storyline here drove so much of the old god speculation. I totally recommend doing the Una secret as well. Catching up with what the Secret Finders Discord have been doing in the game for years is just crazy. It's an entire side to playing World of Warcraft that most people are entirely unaware of, and there's a bunch of cool shit there. Speaking of secrets and mounts, we actually just published a video on one of them in 10.1.5, the epic adventure through Scholomance, Stratholme, and Naxxramas to unlock removed transmogs. Now, Zul'Gurub, Dire Maul, and Wailing Cavern even got a lesser version of the same treatment. Tons of old patterns to find and transmogs at your fingertips, and it's just a good reason to honestly go and vibe with parts of WoW's history that you may not have been in a while, or perhaps even for some, literally ever. That's really cool. This has been a while coming, but soloing Mythic Legion raids is basically easy now, even on relatively fresh alts. And that is important because Legion had some of the coolest class sets that World of Warcraft ever had. Also, Legacy Loot Mode is enabled now, and that means that you can basically spend a few hours there and pick up, some of, again, what I said are some of the best class sets ever put into WoW. There's also some of the most standout items available here too, though they are rare. You've got Teshalak from Agrimar. You've got Argus's normal blue and mythic red scythes. You've got the shoulders from Xavius. Those are awesome looking standout items. I'd say go do it. Plus, you see, for places like Antorus, if you've never been there, Antorus is honestly just so goddamn cool that it's worth the experience. Now, if you also want to go on an epic quest line in the Legion era while also getting Transmog, there's never been a better time to do the old Balance of Power quest line. It was a long, grueling unlock for some of the best artifact weapon appearances that there ever were, but it was basically a slog of weekly re-clears of old content, and it needed to be done on every character. Here's the big news. In 10.1, doing it once unlocks the appearances account-wide. So it's about a 30-step quest. It takes you into basically every bit of Legion content up to patch 7.1, requiring you to clear Emerald Nightmare and then Nighthold weekly for some random boss drops. Most recent reports are that one weekly reset is enough to finish it, but to even start it, you have to have finished your Class Order Hall campaign, and then another step includes finishing a big old chunk of Suramar, which, by the way, may be some of the best questing in WoW's history. Absolutely, and is also definitely worth your time, especially just doing the whole chain there. And by the way, for Rat Paladins who want the Fiery Ashbringer, come on, look how cool it is. So, Balance of Power, now's the best time to do it, because if you do it once, you get those artifact appearances, you get the unlock account-wide, which is sick. Another thing that you can do is to go and hunt down old grey and white items with the new Transmog Tracking feature, and of course greys and whites being added to Transmog now. You can just literally go through the appearances tab, find something you like, shift-click on it to see the vendor that sells it or the boss that drops it, and you can basically just make a shopping list of gear that you want and just go and make a casual old-school Transmog in no time, which is actually kind of fun. Gameplay then, so if you want some more juicy gameplay in WoW, number one is the obvious thing, trying a new spec like Ogvoker, the reworked mages in 10.1.5, or maybe even one of the things that we picked in our best specs for patch 10.1 video. That video, a whole patch later, is still valid. I actually went in the Paladin direction based on doing that video, and I'm having a blast these days. But sometimes, you straight up just can't be asked doing the whole gearing loop again. So here are a few options that you can do on your specs, beside just doing a class order haul. The Mage Tower, it is there, and you can get an absolutely beautiful set for each class. It's not as hard as when it first released, and it's not as easy as it was when there were super broken gear combos when it initially came back into WoW, meaning that now it's actually in a pretty damn good spot. It's free to enter, so you can just park a character there and take a few swings at it when you feel you're up to the challenge. If you haven't done it before, prepare to be tested though, because seriously, you'll actually come out the other side more of a master of your spec, which I think is pretty sweet. In a similar vein, but differently hard, we have horrific visions from BFA. You do need to do the 8.3 quest line and farm vessels from the N'Zoth dailies and weeklies, but honestly, they're worth it. These are so cool. They have kind of these crazy hard modes as well that involve masks, right? Basically, when you put the mask on, it changes the next vision that you do. It's a bit like activating a skull in Halo if you played that when you were a kid. There are some mounts, a pet, and even the wearable masks to get. There's even a void weapon illusion that looks really cool, and a black dragon scale backpack. Plus, just honestly, the sheer strength of vibes in those horrific visions is worth doing it for that alone. I think that it is some of the best content, and if Blizzard were to just scale it to be relevant to current levels, oh man. Put some new rewards on it, scale it so we can do it without it being, a little bit easy, and Blizzard, you will be onto such a free win. This may seem insane. Let me cook. If the idea of a tough challenge doesn't feel right, but you want to test yourself gameplay-wise anyway, there is the Proving Ground. They take a while to scale, but if you want a stress-free zone to get to grips with a spec without queue times, I actually do this a lot. I think the Proving Grounds are one of the low-key best features in the game, and it's such a shame most people don't even know about them these days. It can be fun, though, to sit in the Proving Ground and practice until you're comfortable. It's not super complex, but it does actually test your core mechanics of the game, and it has the Endless mode, which eventually scales up enough to require some real strategy. So hey, go try to do something cool in that scaled-up mode. Okay, another boredom reliever for you today. It is to go back to the older Dragonflight patches, and actually I'm saying this for good reason. Scare Vaults. Downtime is the perfect excuse to do some things that maybe you wanted to do but never really got around to, and Blizzard know that, because the Scare Vaults are basically free to enter now. Instead of needing to farm out vault keys by killing a bunch of rare mobs, you can now purchase them for 50 Dragon Isle supplies a pop at a vendor on the Forbidden Reach. And this means that the many different achievements, pets, or even just fun bits of lore and actually fun gameplay that you maybe missed out on in 10.1.7, you can just do that now. Each of these rotating vaults has got their own puzzles and rewards, making it a actually pretty cool session of gameplay you can do per week. Remember that the Forbidden Reach also has got its daily 10% rep buff, so if any of your old, renowns are lacking, you can also go and make use of that buff to get them a bit faster. At the very least, you'll want to have your Maruk Centaur and Valdrakken Accord things up, because those will give you access to the Tyr and Green Dragon narrative quests. Of course, this is important because Tyr's reforging seems to be happening in 10.1.7, and also Alex and Veranoth argued over something that happened ages ago, and 10.2 is a follow-up to, Ysera and the whole World Tree stuff that's all established in that quest. So it's good to do that content so you can actually enjoy the new patch. Okay, this surprised me. The Winterpelt Furbolg rep. With 10.1 gear, killing all the mobs that drop the hand-in items is extremely fast, and it actually means that, it's a little bit of a boring traditional mob grind, but it's got a satisfying enough little loop of flying around, in circles, killing those, killing the respawning mobs, right? But of course, you get, the Furbolg toy, you get the reading glasses toy for doing this, as well as some cosmetic items and dragon riding customizations, and also you unlock a whole new language. Pretty neat. Dragonflight side quests, by the way, are really well written. These are no exception. You gradually unlock a quest line that teaches you about these lovable dudes while you're helping them rejoin the world, and it really is surprisingly fast. Now, there are some other things you can do. Here's one off the top of my head. Did you know that the creation catalyst of Zereth Mortis and the revival catalyst of Season 1 of Dragonflight take no charges? That actually means you can go and, say, get the regular Primal Storms gear, right? And you can upgrade that Primal Storms gear and, even upgrade it via the Forbidden Reach stuff. But don't do that. Take it. Use the Creation Catalyst to turn it into a piece of Tyr, which you can do for free. then level it up, and that's actually a way that you can unlock all of your transmogrifications for the class sets of Season 1, and you can do the same for the Zareth Mortis stuff. And to be real with you, Sepulchre of the first ones was a bit of a rumbly tier of the game, but my god, that loot looked pretty damn amazing, didn't it? Oh, last final tip. I didn't know that the BFA Gladiator ensembles are available to purchase for Marks of Honor. And oh yeah, by the way, get Marks of Honor, buy all PvP transmogs. Can be kind of cool way to kit out your characters. Anyhow, that's it for today. Some things to do when you're bored. Not that you'll have that long to wait, because the next patch is probably in 6 to 8 weeks by most estimates. The content train has no brakes, neither do we. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Of course, be sure to check out today's sponsor. They are awesome and a big help in actually running the channel, keeping the lights on, paying everybody's wages, so thank you to them, thank you to you, and I will see you next time.
Mm-hmm.